Welcome to Politics for Patriots. Here's your host, the eviscerator of progressive nonsense, the executioner of imbecility, and the grim reaper of BS, Eddie Zipper.
Ice cream makers Ben and Jerry are trying to come up with special ice cream flavors that are Democrat-inspired. The one bad thing about podcasting is that it fails to catch how hard I am rolling my eyes at a company that thinks it's a good idea to politicize their ice cream. But the woke among us are intent upon ruining everything by spilling their left-wing political agenda all over it. The NFL wants to ruin football. Nike wants to ruin tennis shoes. From Hollywood deciding the whole American flag thing wasn't really very moon landing-y, so they're going to leave it out. But perhaps, maybe, I am looking at this the wrong way. Maybe ice cream flavors should be Democrat-themed. Maybe that's actually a great idea, and we could use it to raise a little bit of awareness about what the Democrats are really all about. So, I thought I would share with you today some ideas that I had for Democrat-inspired ice cream flavors. Flavor number one, this one is for Maxine Waters. For Maxine Waters, we have a flavor called Impeaches and Cream.
Impeach 45!
Impeachment-flavored ice cream is perfect for Maxine because when it comes to impeaching the president, she doesn't need any of those, pesky high crimes and misdemeanors that the Constitution calls for. No. She has been running her impeachment campaign from day one. All right, I got another flavor here. This one is for Cory Booker, and this is a perfect one. It's called I Am Spartacustard.
I am Spartacus.
This one would serve as a great reminder of not just Cory's part in the Kavanaugh hearings, but the entire circus that we have endured during the Kavanaugh hearings. From the first 2 minutes, which I've played on the show at least a couple of times, which is a total, it is a 3-ring disaster, to what's going on now, which is obviously the perfect bookend, as Democrats politicize an allegation with no specifics in order to delay confirmation for as long as possible. So, for Cory Booker, the flavor, I Am Spartacustard. All right, for Beto O'Rourke, who is running against Ted Cruz, I'm going to call his flavor the Grape Escape. And on the box, it's going to have a cartoon picture of him trying to flee the scene after he caused an accident while driving under the influence. This is kind of an aside from the ice cream flavors, but Cruz and O'Rourke had a debate last night, and wow. You could really tell which one of them has debated at the highest levels. Ted Cruz did all those presidential primary debates. There were, I believe, 47 of them. Cruz wiped the floor with Beto, especially with this exchange on the Second Amendment. Listen to this.
Congressman O'Rourke, like Hillary Clinton, wants justices who would overturn that. And let me tell you the position of the dissenters. The dissenters in Heller said that no individual, no American whatsoever, has any right to keep and bear arms whatsoever. That's a radical position. It's an extreme position. And that's what Congressman O'Rourke wants to see the Supreme Court doing, writing the Second Amendment out of the Bill of Rights.
That's not true.
And we are moving on here.
Hold on.
Of course I support the Second Amendment.
In what way, in what respect, and name one judge you've ever supported who would actually
you may not understand how the House and the Senate work, but it's your job in the Senate to decide if you're going to support or not support a given nominee.
Did you endorse Hillary Clinton?
Not in the House.
Did you endorse Hillary Clinton?
That has nothing to do with
it does, because Hillary promised every justice she would appoint would vote to overturn Hillary.
I fully support the Second Amendment.
Time, gentlemen. Let's move on here.
That was awful nice of the moderator to throw some cover towards Beto O'Rourke there as he was getting destroyed. I mean, he tried to, oh, well, you don't know the difference between the House and Senate. Yeah, I'm sure Ted Cruz doesn't know the difference between the House and Senate. I mean, you could tell there, Beto did not want to admit his real position on the Second Amendment, because the truth is, you can't support the kind of person that Hillary Clinton would put on the Supreme Court and at the same time support the Second Amendment. You can't do both. You have to choose one of them. Either you can like a living constitutionalist judge who thinks that the Second Amendment was for a different era and that it's just over now, or you can support the Second Amendment. But you can't do both. They are mutually exclusive. So clearly Beto wants to hide his real feelings about the Second Amendment during this campaign because, hey, he's running for the Senate in Texas. Let's be real. Okay, let's get back to some more ice cream flavors. Oh, this is a good one. For Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, it doesn't matter what flavor the ice cream is, but whatever flavor they make it, it should be free. You see the brilliance here. See, no matter what it tastes like, it's automatically the most popular flavor because somebody else pays for it. Right? You walk into the freezer section of your local grocer, you grab a carton of AOC's flavor, and you just walk right out of the store. It'll be fun to see how long Ben & Jerry can afford to keep that flavor on grocery store shelves. I mean, really, Ben & Jerry shouldn't be making a bunch of money off all of this ice cream, because you know what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says.
Capitalism has not always existed in the world, and it will not always exist in the world.
You see that? Someday all the ice cream will be free because vive la resistance. All right, how about a flavor called Feinstein Surprise? It's vanilla ice cream with fudge at the bottom. So the entire time you're eating it, you have no idea that there's fudge in there, right? She keeps the fudge secret until the very end, you see. Then, when you get to the very bottom of the carton, it's like, oh, hey, oh, there's fudge in here. Why did she keep the fudge secret the entire time? Why didn't she bring up the fudge during the ice cream making process? I guess we'll never know. Maybe she just wanted it to be a surprise. All right, for Representative Eric Swalwell, I was thinking boo-hoo-hoo berry. When you see that one on the shelves, you can be reminded how much Eric Swalwell cares about women. If you don't know the story from this week, Senator Susan Collins from Maine shared stories about the threats she's been getting from leftists because she hasn't crossed the aisle in order to help smear and destroy Judge Kavanaugh. So Eric Swalwell was so concerned with the threats that Susan Collins has been getting that he tweeted, and this is a direct quote, "Boo-hoo who." Of course, we all know that if a Republican representative tweeted that, it would be the absolute end of the world. If a Republican tweeted something this insensitive and ridiculous, Nancy Pelosi would be like,
"This is Armageddon."
And then the rest of the Democrats would be like,
"We're all gonna die!" Ah!
And then all the mainstream media pundits would agree like this.
Oh!
Yep. What would happen on Twitter if a Republican tweeted something like this? Well, I'm pretty sure Twitter would just spontaneously combust. There would be nothing but a huge digital mushroom cloud. People would be walking down the street just finding little shards of Twitter everywhere they went. All right, another flavor. How about Cookie Dough Obama? That would be a seasonal flavor. It would only be on shelves as we get close to an election. And the hook with this flavor is that the carton wouldn't just claim, this flavor tastes great. No. This carton would claim to somehow be the reason that all the other flavors taste so great. Right? Just like its namesake, who is now going around the country humiliating himself by trying to act like he's responsible for the Trump recovery. Here he is yesterday at a rally making the case that Lowering the corporate tax rate is meaningless. Repealing 22 old regulations for every new one is meaningless. Consumer confidence and economic optimism, meaningless. People taking home more of their pay totally means nothing. The only important economic factor at play in this recovery is somehow the fact that Obama used to be president. So here he is, taking the credit.
By the time we were done, wages were up, the uninsured rate was down. So when you hear right now folks taking credit for this economic miracle, it's like, hold up. Hold up. Hold up. They act like it just started.
So clearly and obviously it's really President Obama who's responsible for all this economic good news that we've been getting.
Good one.
It's annoying, but you know what? I'm not going to boo. I'm just going to vote. If you think about it, though, this actually makes sense, right? This idea that Obama's policies are responsible for what's going on in the economy right now makes perfect sense, given the fact that Obama's entire presidency, right, when the economy was trying to grow and Obama had his foot mashed on the brakes, that entire 8 years, we heard that it was Bush's fault. So according to Obama economic theory, Obamonomics, the economy is always one president behind. Yeah, that's a pretty convenient narrative for Democrats, right? When Trump is gone and a Democrat wins the White House again and enacts their policies and the economy starts to tank, that will, of course, be Trump's policies finally kicking in. Hopefully, after election season, all the cookie-eat Obama flavor will be recalled from the market because it's making a lot of people sick. Needs to be recalled. All right, and finally, the big story this weekend, the most disgusting of all Democratic flavors, triple-layer raspberry deep state. Republicans control the House of Representatives and the Senate and the White House right now, thanks to elections. Voters went out and they said, we've had enough of these policies. They're terrible. They're not working. We want different policies. So they went out, and in 2010, they gave the House to the Republicans. In 2014, they gave the Senate to the Republicans. In 2016, they gave the White House to Republicans and let Republicans keep the House of Representatives and the Senate. So obviously, there are not people clamoring for ultra left-wing policies. Like, the country overall is not desperate for these policies. So, where is the Democrats' power in government? Well, it comes from a few sources. The mainstream media is a Democrat stronghold, and they are never up for re-election. It's lifetime appointments all around. And if you've ever seen what a college journalism program looks like, it's plain to see that the media isn't going to swing conservative anytime in the near future. Let's see, where else are the Democrats powerful? Oh, they have activist judges. Activist judges who are willing to put the agenda of the Democratic Party above the law and the Constitution. Believe me, they are crucial to Democratic success. Democrats depend on their activist judges to get their agenda through because people won't vote for it. So you got to get it through somehow. And that's why it's devastating to Democrats to have another conservative justice on the Supreme Court, which we are going to end up with at the end of this Kavanaugh three-ring confirmation hearing. The problem is, having another conservative on the Supreme Court, it really hamstrings all those rogue judges that Democrats have worked so hard to fill the lower courts with. And finally, the greatest of Democratic strongholds, the bureaucracy. Right? The president might be a Republican and the cabinet might be made up of appointed Republicans, But those lifetime civil servants, lots of them are faithful to the Democratic agenda. More than anyone, those bureaucrats are the swamp monsters. I mean, you think Peter Strzok and Lois Lerner are just anomalies? No. The bureaucracy is filled with people of their ilk. Those jobs attract leftist-type people. I mean, how many Republicans have you ever met in your life who want to go make a career at the IRS? Republicans don't want to apply for jobs at the IRS. They want to go and vote for people who will wipe the IRS out of existence. I can't think of anything I would enjoy doing less than working at the IRS. Now, that doesn't mean that all bureaucrats are left-wing activists, but it just takes a few. A Lois Lerner here, a Peter Strzok over there, right? They can accomplish quite a bit. And why shouldn't they? All too often, there appears to be no consequences for just being a rogue bureaucrat who wants to trample on conservatives. I mean, think about it. I mean, really think about this. If Hillary Clinton had won the 2016 election, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and Andrew McCabe and James Comey and all the rest of that cabal would still be there hammering away at their agenda, stopping whatever election they think needs stopping, right? The swamp is deep. It is slimy. And even the Republicans in it seem to be working toward the Democrats' agenda. Look no further than Rod Rosenstein. He is the cherry on top of the triple layer raspberry deep state. Right? Did you see this new piece in the New York Times? The New York Times, to quote, the Deputy Attorney General Rod J. Rosenstein suggested last year that he secretly record President Trump in the White House to expose the chaos consuming the administration. And he discussed recruiting cabinet members to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove Mr. Trump from office for being unfit. Now, I'm going to give Rosenstein a tiny benefit of the doubt, even though I totally believe the story. I mean, it does ring true to me, and I'll get to that in a minute. The New York Times reporting on the story is crazy weak. It's not good reporting. Look at the sourcing on this story. It is a total embarrassment. Okay. The main source of the New York Times story here is McCabe's memos. Right? McCabe took these memos, he wrote things down in the meetings, and these are the main source of the story. So because McCabe wrote it, that's where the story came from. So the accuracy of the story hinges on how much you're willing to trust Andrew McCabe, which, sorry, but for me, ain't that much. I mean, I trust Andrew McCabe about as far as Ruth Bader Ginsburg could throw him. But, I mean, oh, geez, is that their only source? Oh, wait, look, they list some sources to confirm that, right? It's good in journalism to have more than one source. Because if you have one source, it's just, I mean, one person, especially, I mean, they could just say anything. So you get some more sources and it's like, look, yeah, one person could just say anything, but what if 3 people said it? What if 12 people said it? Right? And this is the trick they use on Trump all the time. So here we go. Here, let's look at the sources to confirm McCabe's memo. They say, several people described the episodes insisting on anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. Okay, so there are other people here. It seems like good journalism now, because there are other people confirming what is in McCabe's memos. They're anonymous, yes, which weakens it, but at least they were there. Oh, wait, not so fast. Let's look at the next sentence. The people, these are the other sources confirming what's in McCabe's memos, the people were briefed either on the events themselves or on memos written by FBI officials, including Andrew McCabe. Then, wait, what? Oh, let's look at that again. These are the other sources. The people who are the other sources were briefed. They weren't there. They were briefed on what happened. Somebody told them what happened. They indirectly know what happened. Okay, the people were briefed either on the events themselves or on memos written by FBI officials, including Andrew McCabe. So, this is such bad journalism. So these other sources were basically briefed by McCabe or by people briefed by McCabe, or they saw McCabe's notes. That's not multiple sources, New York Times, you absolute imbeciles. That is one source over and over. That's one source recycled. They hope you won't see the circular reasoning in there. And they do these stories on Trump all the time where they use this circular sourcing like everybody's an idiot and they think this is actually multiple sources when it all derives from one source. So you got the information from one source and then also got it from people who got it from the original source. You know what that is called? We have a word for that. It is called gossip. Incidentally, that's how the FBI verified, and I hope you can hear the finger quotes in my voice, verified the Steele dossier. That's how they verified it. They got it from Steele, and then they confirmed it with news stories where Steele was the source of the news story. That is gossip. It does not in any way confirm anything except that the original source thinks that. I wish President Trump would declassify all the FISA warrants, the original warrant and every subsequent reissue of the warrant. I guarantee you every single one of those warrants ends like this.
XOXO, Gossip Girl.
That's how they should end, because they're based on the Steele dossier, but the confirming reports are all also based on the Steele dossier, because Steele just told reporters what was in the dossier. The reporters reported it, and the FBI gathered it up like, oh, this confirms what's in the Steele dossier. No, that is gossip. In fact, I think that every New York Times scoop these days should probably also end with
XOXO, Gossip Girl.
Because that's what circular sourcing in news media is. It is just gossip. All right, but whether Rosenstein was joking or not, whether this is just hilarious overthrow the president comedy bits that he has going on, this story rings true to everyone. Unlike most of the stories that are in the New York Times, which, well, anyway. We all know Rosenstein is a swamp monster intent on getting Trump out of office. He's the one who appointed Mueller and signed off on the FISA warrants. He's the one who treats the Trump-Russia collusion narrative like it's actually a true thing. Right? Oh, and by the way, where have I heard about the 25th Amendment recently? Oh, yeah. Anonymous New York Times deep state op-ed. Remember what it said? I'm quoting from the anonymous New York Times deep state op-ed. Or as the deep stater who wrote the op-ed refers to him or herself, the steady state. All right, so given the instability many witnessed, there were early whispers within the cabinet of invoking the 25th Amendment, which would start a complex process for removing the president. But no one wanted to precipitate a constitutional crisis, so we will do what we can to steer the administration in the right direction until one way or another, it's over. Right? It fits. That statement fits with what Rosenstein is saying now. He's coming out now and defending himself. He's saying, based on what I see, the 25th Amendment doesn't apply. Well, guess who else said that? The anonymous New York Times op-ed writer. He just said it would cause a constitutional crisis. And you know what? The real reason they don't use the 15th Amendment, because they would in a second if they could get away with it, is that you're not ever going to get a majority of the cabinet on board to get rid of the president unless he is seriously, unless he's had a stroke and he's become Woodrow Wilson at the end of his term. No cabinet member is ever going to use the 25th Amendment to just overthrow the president. That's insane. It actually happened in season 2 of 24, if you remember that show. President Palmer, the cabinet didn't like the decisions that President Palmer was making, so they used the 25th Amendment to overthrow him. And you know what? It was unrealistic then, and it's unrealistic now. Still a great show, though. And that's the best season 2 of 24. Awesome. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe all these people in the government watched too much 24, and now they all think that they're Jack Bauer, and it's their responsibility to just take everything into their own hands. The only problem is Jack Bauer didn't suck. All right, so the anonymous New York Times op-ed writer said, so we will do what we can to steer the administration in the right direction until, one way or another, it's over. And I'm looking at that one way or another totally dashed as an aside of the sentence. One way or another. The dashes make it ominous, right? It stands alone. One way or another. And when I look at that one way or another, you know what I think of? I think of somebody signing off on bogus FISA warrants that rely on a salacious and unverified document and then not recusing themselves even though they're the ones that signed off on the warrants. And I think about, appointing a special counsel to dragnet President Trump to investigate not a crime but just a person. Just look around at Donald Trump's life until you, can find maybe something wrong or some law that was broken. Just look and look with your dragnet until you find it. Those certainly sound like one way or another to me, right? Those are 25th Amendment alternatives that can be done more unilaterally. You don't have to get the cabinet on board for that. You can just pick a special counsel who will take care of it unilaterally. So perhaps Attorney General Sessions, Jeff Sessions is Attorney General, correct? Mr. Rosenstein didn't fire Jeff Sessions, did he? So perhaps Attorney General Sessions, who, as I understand, on paper is at this moment still Attorney General of the United States, perhaps he should be thinking about a special counsel to investigate Rosenstein. Just give him a wide open mandate. Let that new special counsel, let him cast a dragnet across Rosenstein's life, and let's just see what comes up with it. Is there a crime? We don't know. But we'll just give the new special counsel license to look at Rosenstein's whole life and maybe find a crime. Maybe there's no real evidence that Rosenstein has done anything wrong, but do you need real evidence now for special counsels? Because there's certainly no evidence of the Trump-Russia collusion, which the media was so excited about, and now they rarely ever talk about because everybody knows that it's just a big pile of Hey, there's a great ice cream flavor name for the Democrats' Trump-Russia hoax. Instead of death by chocolate, this one's called death by All right, that's all I got for today. Please download old episodes if you enjoyed today's. It would help me so much if you would subscribe on iTunes, leave a review on iTunes. That would be fantastic. Thank you so much for listening. Please keep listening every Wednesday and Saturday. That's it for today. I'm signing off. You know you love me.
XOXO Gossip Girl.
You just listened to Politics for Patriots with Eddie Zipper. Email the show at patriots@eddiezipper.com. And please subscribe.